Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the John Gaunt Show. If you're watching live, that's brilliant on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. If you're listening to it on audio, that's great as well. And don't forget, you can always watch it later. And if you are one of the replay watchers, nice to have you on board as well. Record numbers yesterday, day before yesterday. Let's see how we can get on today. My question is Starmer really a dictator? Well, just as I was about to come on air, it's been announced the Met Police will not be investigating him. Their excuse, well, it's over 3 years since the allegation happened. Therefore, there's a statute of limitations. Well, that's the first I've ever heard of that. I'll tell you. I think he should be investigated. So should his so-called vocal coach, which I found really interesting. You know, the lady who went to see him broke all the tier 4, whatever tier they were, or regulations. She did have a mask on, but I found out today she used to be married to Robert Asquith, you know, Confessions of a Window Cleaner, great comedy actor, which is kind of apt because this whole saga with Labour is a complete farce, a complete comedy. One could say it's a tragicomedy because what they're doing is they're taking us down. They are going to wreck this country. But he's oblivious to it, not Robin Asquith, him, Starmer. Starmer is our supreme leader. He can do no wrong. Have you not seen the Facebook ads? Facebook ad after Facebook ad. We're doing this. We're fixing this. After 14 years of misrule, and there's a 8 billion black hole. Oh, okay, supreme leader. Can you show us the black hole? No. You'd have more chance of finding the lost whatever. It's rubbish. It's lies. It's BS. Don't get me wrong. The Tories got us into this mess, but sure as hell, Labour aren't going to get us out of it. But yeah, so we need now confessions of a voice coach. People are saying, why did she have to go to see him on Christmas Eve? It's a fair question. I also looked her up. She studied at the Central School of Speech and Drama, which of course was closed in December during lockdown. So kids who had paid thousands to go and learn how to be an actor or how to be a tree, they couldn't get lessons, but she could go Christmas Eve and give him a lesson. And of course today, I wasn't going to talk about Starmer, but it is all unraveled because today it's come out that at that moment, she wasn't being paid by the Labour Party. She wasn't employed by them. So then the question is, who was employing her? And if she's a freelance like me, like you, then HMRC would want to see invoices. Has she got invoices? And who paid her? Who did she make the invoice out to? Are you following where I'm going on this? Why did she go to his private office? Was his missus there? Although she never just seemed to be anywhere. She's probably too busy trying on the clothes that Lord Ali bought her. As I've told you before, any fella bought my beautiful wife clothes, I'd punch him in the chops. No two ways about it. And then, so the story then came out during the day, the stories developed. Some blokes reported them because she definitely broke the rules because she got on a train and came from Brighton to London, 50 or 60 miles. Brighton, I think, was in tier 3, London in tier 4. Now, we know the tiers were a load of cobblers. We know all that. But Boris Johnson lost his job over cake and red wine. And again, why I think Starmer's becoming a dictator. I don't know if you saw it today, but in, what do you call it? Prime Minister's Questions. I'm coming to your comments in a moment. In Prime Minister's Questions today, he was so superior to everybody. I mean, no wonder, because he's massively superior to Kemi. She's useless. She's the Gareth Southgate, literally, of politics. Taking a penalty and bloody missing every time and boring as hell in terms of her tactics. She should have laid it. She's got 5 questions. Every question should have been about this scandal because it is a scandal. He was Mr. Right, wasn't he? He was Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, much more than Boris, telling people what they had to do and what they couldn't do. And I know it's become a cliche, but people had to bury their dads, their sons, their mums, their sisters, their loved ones, and couldn't go to the funeral. We didn't go to my father-in-law. We didn't have a funeral for him because COVID had just kicked off, right? Meanwhile, Keir Starmer is having some bird putting a hand on, because I know how voice training goes. You wouldn't believe it, would you? But they're putting a hand on his tummy and looking for his diaphragm. Let's have the confessions of a voice coach as soon as possible, please. I think it's an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. And he is acting as if he's our supreme leader. Who the hell does he think he is? He's the Prime Minister, Gaunty. Yes, but he's not Kim Jong-un. Although some days I wake up and think it might be better if we're living in North Korea. Because to a certain extent, we are living in North Korea. Park the car in the wrong place. Fine. Do this. Fine. Now it's going to be your litter's only emptied 4 times every 4 weeks. Can you imagine? We've already got rats the size of cats in our major cities. Now they don't want to empty the bins. And the worst ones for this are the Green Party. It's Brighton who's kicked this off. What are you paying your taxes for? Meanwhile, another young lad gets stabbed to death. We're not allowed to talk about it, but you know why. We're not allowed to talk about it, but knife crime is out of order. Sadiq Khan gets knighted. We may as well live in North Korea. And then if you do get caught breaking the proper law, you don't go to prison anyway, do you? Not for very long. Look at Gary Newlov's killers. They're all out of prison. The ones who murdered him on his doorstep. I remember that so well. And Helen Newlove, she became in charge of citizens' crime or some victims' crime. It's all a joke. And as I came on air, as I say, it's now been announced the police aren't going to do anything. Earlier this afternoon, Keir announced there's going to be no elections. They've cancelled the elections. And, I'm sure it's a coincidence, everybody. The elections that have been cancelled, the council elections, are mostly in the areas where reform are doing well. Then Nigel Farage gets up in the House of Commons, wants to ask a question, and the Tories are in, not the Tories, but they're the same, aren't they? The Uni Party, Labour were up in arms, shouting and bawling like screaming little brats, not allowing him to ask his question. Well, whether you like it or not, it's tough titty. He's got a democratic mandate to be in there. He's got a right to ask a question, no matter how biased that speaker wants to be, because he was, in my opinion. They are frit, as Maggie Thatcher would say, because Nigel and Reform are on the rampage. The rest of them, self-serving pigs with their snouts in the trough. All right, that's enough for me. Now let's take some of your views, please. Hello, how are you doing today, says Elizabeth. I'm fine, thank you. He cancelled the elections, says Roseth22. This is on YouTube. So, yes, he is an evil tyrant. Pete's Heaven Dweller says, hi, John. Afternoon. Afternoon to you. Mick on Twitter says, love this podcast, Gaunty. Thank you very much. I'm trying my hardest. Numbers are building. If you do enjoy it, or retweet what you're watching now, or if you're watching it on catch up or after the show, retweet the video. The more people can see it, bigger the audience gets, more advertisers will get, and then hopefully Gaunty might make a living. And, you know, we can challenge the mainstream. I don't want to be, before you say it, I don't want to be on mainstream. I've done it. Mick says, holding Starmer to account. Well done, John. Well, I will. He's turning into a dictator. He's even got the 5-year plans, you know, like Stalin. But his are 20-year plans. All that BS they came out with the other day about, was it Rachel Reeves, got the personality of this desk, right? What a thicko she is. Lied on her CV, but she's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. She was basically in charge of Diane Abbott's, what do you call it? Not calculator, abacus, right? What a bunch of dumbwits. What a bunch of sixth formers are running our country. But there's no opposition. Kemi, open goal. Beat him up. Get in there, darling. Missed it every time. Useless. A plague on all their houses, as Shakespeare would say. Dormiston Cook on Twitter. Afternoon, John. Complete cover-up by the establishment again. Well, there's a surprise, Dormiston. The most alarming thing announced today is the cancellation of the local elections for a year. So my question is, should we suspend our council tax payments for a year? Yeah, you try. They'll have you in court. I didn't pay my council tax a few years ago. They would in fact, I've only just paid it off. They chased me forever. Forever. Right? Ever, ever, ever. Which on one level is a good thing because you should pay it if you're in the area, even though it's a rip-off. But you can't not pay it. They'll have you. They'll have you by the short and curlies, Dormston. It's just terrible. And when you say about the cancellation of the elections, their excuse is, well, councils are going to merge. But whose decision was it to merge the councils? Starmer, right? So it's very convenient, isn't it? Although local councils, what's the use of the local council? I mean, what do you want a council to do? Fill the swimming pool up, in the paddling pool in the winter, in the summer even, and put the street lights on. They can't even do that properly. Now they won't even pick up your crap. They're going to leave it for 4 weeks. The other thing that's really annoying me, in Coventry now, they've started putting graffiti on the pavements. So they're doing it in your area. It's like a Banksy, but with no art involved, no culture. It's obviously what do you call it? A stencil, and it's a dog, and it says, "Do pick up your dog's litter," right? Shit, in other words, right? £100 fine. Who are these people? Who are these people to do this kind of thing? They make me vomit. But anyway, the council elections have been cancelled, and surprises of surprises, as I say, it's in all the areas where reform are doing well. There is something going really wrong in our country at the moment. Let's take some more people. Simon Hart, Met Police issued a statement that they're taking no action as it was more than 3 years ago. Convenient that, isn't it? Yes, Simon, I started off by saying that it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. Our Prime Minister stood up. He said a couple of things. Lawmakers cannot be lawbreakers. And you remember when he had a right pop at Boris, rightly so, because of the parties, and he mentioned that bloke, and the bloke not being able to bury his relative, right? I wonder if he's been in touch with him recently. Because whilst Boris was doing that, it appears he was having voice lessons off the woman who used to be married to the Confessions actor. You couldn't make this up. And then there's some more breaking news, I'm just being told. Rachel Reeves was at this party. Sorry, it wasn't a party. This voice coaching, well, she does need voice coaching. Oh, well, let's put aside the fact that Starmer still sounds like a Dalek with the batteries running out. But the question is, now, why was Rachel Reeves there? Was Lord Ali there? Who else was there? And it was because he said in Parliament today, it's because we had to respond to Boris Johnson's Brexit statement. What, on Christmas Eve? Do you think I'm stupid? It was obviously a piss. Why don't you just tell the British people the truth, Starmer? You smarmer. You smarmy git with no personality. How come you've become the leader of our great country? You're the supreme leader. We must all do what you say. We must all get free suits off Ali. Yeah? Who'd believe a Labour leader would act like a dictator? Well, that's true, Denise. Good point on Facebook. But it doesn't matter where they're from. They're all the same. They're all the same. They're just power mad. Cheltenham Women's FC says, I'm confused. President Trump says that Keir Starmer is doing a good job and looks forward to working with him. I said that over the weekend. He said that over the weekend. Can you explain, please? I think he's taking the piss, actually, because it also looks like Starmer is writing the longest political suicide note in history, right? Because why does he want to take on Trump? The latest is the Chagos, right? He's given them back to, do you know about this story? He's given them back to Mauritius. Mauritius never owned them in the first place. It's now been revealed today. It's 18, he's given them the islands, right? With the military base on it, Garcia, whatever it's called, right? And now giving them 18 billion, not million, billion pounds as well to Mauritius, which is 3,000 or 4,000 miles away. Nuneaton is closer to that airfield. It's just a joke. Trump, I think, is just softening him up. Trump wanted him to side with him rather than the EU. That's the other thing. Starmer wants to be back in the EU. He's having a big do, May the 18th. I don't know if the voice coach is going to put a hand on his diaphragm to make sure he's speaking properly. But there's a big party. All the EU bigwigs are coming to Britain. He's trying to get us back in the EU through the back door. He's conning us. Conning us. It's a disgrace. Kevin Barnfield, our king needs to look at the situation regarding Starmer. Call him into the palace. Tell him straight. Starmer, have a word with yourself, or a car crash can be arranged. That's a bit naughty. But Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I just can't see how Starmer just thinks he can get away with what he's getting away with. But he is. He's almost like Teflon Tony. Do you remember that nickname for Tony Blair? Nothing sticks to him. And where's Lord Ali? Do you remember all the stories about Lord Ali and what he bought and what he hadn't bought? The suits, the dresses, the frocks, the underwear, then the tickets for Taylor Swift. Where's he gone? He suddenly disappeared. And we never had an explanation for it. I wrote a tweet. Let me just see if I can find this tweet. I wrote a tweet about this the other day. And I've got massive, massive reaction to it. Because I basically said, give me a second and I'll find it for you guys. What did I say? Here it is. It's on the profile, you plonker. Anyway, I can't find it at the moment. But basically, I said, there's so many questions with no answers. Like, what was Lord Ali buying all that gear for? Why did his son, Starmer's son, have to do his revision in Lord Ali's penthouse flat in Covent Garden? 16 million, that is, or something. Why? And also, the next question is, why was he still revising after the exams finished? And then there was like a clampdown. You couldn't talk about it. You couldn't mention it. You weren't allowed to. And then with this latest story, I thought it'd be the same. We suddenly get told that the actress, right, the voice coach, used to be married to Confessions of a Window Cleaner. I used to love those films. Wonder I didn't go blind. But anyway, she has now been, they've now said, they started off saying she was a key worker. What? A key worker? Now they're saying, no, she wasn't. And she wasn't working for Labour. It was as if Labour were going to throw Starmer under the bus. But now I just don't know. I can't keep up with it. He's got to resign. He's a stinking hypocrite. Here's the questions. So many questions for Keir Starmer even, but few answers. Why did Lord Ali buy you suits and glasses? Why did your lad revise at his gaff after his exams had finished? Why did an actress come to your office on Christmas Eve? I don't know. Why are you giving Mauritius 18 billion quid of our money, and indeed the islands as well? Why don't you just resign? That was my tweet. He didn't answer. I don't know what I've done to upset him. But he did not answer. But what did you make of that? It's true, isn't it? Everything I'm saying is true. And when I say he's turning into a dictator, Kim Rongan, they've all got personal photographers. Rachel Reeves has got a photographer, 50 grand. Starmer's got a photographer, 50 grand. Not the same person, different people, right? David Lammy's got one, but that one is obviously in widescreen. And then Jess Phillips, all right, bub, all right, yeah, I'm from Birmingham, didn't you know? Yeah, well, why are you talking in that ridiculous accent then? Because that's half black country, and your mum and dad were professors or university lecturers. Why are you making out you're the big working class chav? Give over. So there's her as well. So they've all got their own photographers. Some of them will have to have security glass in the lens, wouldn't they? Because they're so pig ugly. Mostly the fellas, of course. But it's just not really a laughing matter. Are you with me or against me? If you like what I'm doing, don't forget you can help me out. I've got all those people down there showing you that. All these people are supporting me on Buy Me a Coffee. I want to say point. Buymeacoffee.com. If you want to join them, all you do is go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt and donate anything from $5 upwards. It really helps. It's getting this going. I've got the website going as well. Check that out, johngaunt.com. We've got Twitter, Facebook. I'm going to start doing that TikTok soon, only for a laugh, because you can do little short rants. So I think I might do a few of those. What else have I got going? I can't remember. But anyway, thanks very much indeed for your support. Without it, I wouldn't be here now, right? So where else are I going up to? It's do as I say, not do as I do, Keir Starmer, right? It's an absolute outrage. In fact, I can't remember a prime minister who was so universally loathed more than him. Well, I can't remember a prime minister who was such an arse who basically betrayed everything he put in his manifesto. Winter fuel allowance. Yeah, that'll be safe. You're all right, old dear. Don't worry. You won't freeze under Labour. boom, pull the rug out from under them, pull the rug off their wheelchair, let them die. Let's do a survey to prove it won't be like that, says Sir Keir. Gets a survey back, they reckon at least 4,000 pensioners will die because of that. Yeah? Students, we're not going to write off your loans. I know we said that. Bullshit. It was bullshit. Just to get elected, you thickos. Don't you realise? No. Right. End of. Shut up. Otherwise, I'll send me stormtroopers around. Oh, people upset about somebody in Southport slaughtering 3 little girls and 10 others. They get a bit angry about it. They shout abuse at Starmer when he spares 2 minutes to come and lay a wreath and then runs away again in Southport, right? Then we have the riots because he refuses to quell the rumours, which he could have done. He could have simply said, it's not a recently arrived person. It's not an immigrant like that. We don't think it's terrorism, or we do think it's terrorism. Oh, by the way, we found some rice in. It would not have compromised the trial. That is absolute BS. And he did that, and then he got people in court, right? A lot of these people had never been in trouble before. He got them in court, and the duty solicitor would have said, look, you better fess up for this. Well, I didn't do it. Yeah, but if you fess up for it, then you'll get a third off your sentence. Otherwise, you can forget your job in Asda or Lidl because you're going to jail. Do not pick up your pay packet. Do not pick up your dole money. You're going to jail. That would have put it up me, wouldn't it have you? And that's what happened. So these people didn't even really get a trial. And then some bewig buffoon could play Billy Big Bollocks, right? And send them down. Now, some of the rioters, fair enough. But other people, just for hurty words, no. It was an attack on free speech. But what it was Starmer saying, don't you dare criticise me. You criticise me. And because I used to be the director of public prosecutions, Jimmy Savile, no, that didn't come over my desk. What did come over your desk? Anyway, we're back to the party. So where was I up to? Oh, stop putting me off. So that's what he did. So people got worried. People began to change what they wrote on social media. But it doesn't go away, Starmer, you idiot. It's like racism. That goes under the carpet. And then what happens is it comes out later and it's worse. That's why all this nonsense, the woke culture, is such a load of cobblers. Because all you're doing is stopping free speech. It's absolutely terrible what's happening in our country at the moment. So Starmer did that. He is a dictator. A dictator. That's what he's turning into. Starmer's going to ruin this country, as will the rest of his government. We've got 4 more years of hell to go, says Rob. Oh, maybe not. Niven, hello, Niven. Hi, John. Late to the show. But I understand. Kemi let 2-tier off the Chagos Islands surrender. Tories started this stupidity, though. Do you know what, Niven? I'm fed up of party politics. I'm fed up of tribalism. I've been saying it for years. They're all self-serving pigs. I know it was the Tories who started it. It was James uncleverly, wasn't it? Selling off our air bases. Yes, it was him. But Starmer's pushed on. And if Starmer had half a brain inside his woke little mind, he would realise that that's a bad thing to do. Best to hold on and have a chat with Donald once he gets into power and see whether all his bluster is actually true. Well, anybody who was doubting whether Trump would do anything, look at Guantanamo. Look what he's going to do with El Salvador. Look what he's done with Canada. He's making it the 51st state, whether they like it or not. And even the Israel thing that he's come out with overnight, which I think's a bit crazy, but he's doing something. He ain't messing about. Zelensky, that'll be over soon. Putin will be back in his box and there'll be freedom and no wars, just like there wasn't last time. But no, Starmer, the idiot, not content with him and Lammy and the rest of them calling Trump a member of the KKK, calling him a racist, calling him thick. And of course, don't forget Citizen Khan, Sadiq Khan, what he said, and he's still saying about President Trump. And then they want Trump to do a trade deal with us. Are you mental? At least keep your mouth shut until he comes. He loves Britain. He loves our royal family. He loves everything about us. His mom is British. We could get a really good deal there. That's why he said at the weekend, going back to that lady's point earlier, oh, Starmer's doing all right, because he wants Starmer in his camp, not in the EU camp. Why do we want to be back in the EU? Regardless of whether you voted for it or not, why would you want to go back? It's going bankrupt. It's going bankrupt. But this is Starmer. He wants to be. In fact, that was the only thing that Kemi said today that was any good. You just want to be admired by all your lefty, she didn't say this bit, your lefty liberal woke barristers, lawyer mates around the world. That's right. The Human Rights Brigade. That is what he wants. What he should be doing is making peace with Donald Trump. Did you see Lammy? What about Mandelson? Why did they give Mandelson that job as ambassador? That's going to go down like a pork pie at a bar mitzvah. Oh dear, I'll be up on a charge for that now, won't I? How dare I use the Jewish religion for a joke? Oh, shut the F up. God's sake, I'm having some water. Anyway, where was I up to? So they've all got their own photographers. They've all got their own agendas. They're all behind your main man, Starmer, our supreme leader, right? Our supreme leader. And it's got right on my nerves. It's getting right on my nerves. Starmer will never be forgiven for this country, and he can forget a second term. Well, that's a given, Denise. Problem is, Denise, who's going to take over? Who's going to take over? Not just in his party, but in the other party. It's time for Nigel, isn't it? It's going to have to be. We've got to start making plans for Nigel. Because he's the only one who speaks the truth. He's the only one who you can say, well, that's his opinion. I don't agree with him on the NHS, for example. But I agree with him on lots of other things. But at least I know where he stands. You haven't got a clue with Starmer. Just not a clue. And of course, let's go back to Starmer during the COVID thing. He was Mr. Rules, wasn't he? He was a Jobsworth. Phil Daniel, can you stop sending stupid comments? I'm busy here, right? He says, up the sky blues. Well, that's fine. I'm up for that. I hope he wins tonight. But the rest of it is just getting in my way. Back off, mate. Back off. Got enough people who are trying to get through without you acting like a prat. Where was I up to? So, you know, what he said, what he did during COVID was totally wrong. He's hoisted by his own petard. He said, you can't be a rule breaker if you want to be a lawmaker. He broke the rules. And so did his girlfriend. No, not his girlfriend. I don't know. The acting coach. She broke the rules. When did this idea that 3 years and you're in the clear came in? Is that what they've been working on today? You see, and that's another symbol of him trying to become a dictator. When they rewrite history. That's what the party does in 1984. These are dangerous, dangerous times. You could end up getting arrested for something you did 3 years ago, which wasn't a crime, but is a crime now. It's just the reverse of what they're saying. It's not a crime. Too long ago. What do you make of that? I just find it really, really annoying. And it's wrong. It's wrong. And then the cancelling of the local elections, that's just the beginning. Let's look at the other stuff that he's done. He also wants Ofcom to look after the internet. He's coming down on the social media companies, blaming Twitter, X, whatever, blaming them for the violence that we're getting on the streets. No, completely and utterly wrong. But he's doing that because that stops criticisms. All of these politicians, they've got rid of pubs, effectively. We no longer go to a pub and talk after work, do we? So we can't assemble. So we can't criticize our supreme leader and his choices. Oh, just going back to that 5-year plan. Yeah, Rachel Reeves, when she came out all that rubbish about Heathrow, it wasn't a 5-year plan. It was a 20-year plan. They haven't got anything that's going to make us richer today. In fact, investors are moving away from Britain because of the clowns, the sixth formers who are in charge. Blue Nose TSG says we're living in North Korea, or it feels like it. Well, I haven't been to North Korea, but yes, it's that kind of feeling, isn't it? That's what he wants. Why does Mandelson keep popping up, says Niven? Does he have some serious dirt on the Labour Party? Well, you'd think that he's been chucked out twice, hasn't he, in the past? And he's come back now and he's got the best ambassador job in the world. Why? I agree with you, and I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue how he manages it. Does he know where the bodies are buried? I don't know. Mind you, there'll be a load of bodies now. I'm just doing my phone to go back to get my notes here, because I've written notes today, believe it or not. So I just don't know what we can do. There's going to be no council elections. He'll probably cancel the general election next time just to make sure he wins again. He's controlled the press, the mainstream media. He's just in his pocket or in politicians' pockets, isn't it? And have you seen that? The Daily Mail are laying off loads of people. The Sun are laying off loads of people. Legacy media, as they call it, is dead or dying. It's in its death throes. When I was writing for The Sun, we had 4 million people buying it every day. I told this story many times. 8 or 9 million people read it. You could dictate government policy. You can't anymore because now there's social media and all of us can have our say. Some of us are better at it than other people. And you can begin to try and create an income, which is what I'm doing. That's why when people say, oh, you're begging to get people to buy me a coffee. It's not begging. It's saying, here's my product. Do you like it? It's my content. If you do like it, would you mind whacking in a $5? See, people don't mind. That's called being an entrepreneur. And what's happening is we're taking over. Here I am today. I was meant to be doing it at home all week in my little studio that I've got put up with my green screen. But my daughter's dog was poorly yesterday. He got sent home from doggy daycare. They think he might have kennel cough. I think he's just playing up personally. So I've come down because she's busy with meetings. So I've come down to look after him for a couple of days. That's why I'm in the kitchen. Right? Although I think it looks quite good. Lighting's a bit off because I can't bring all my gear with me, can I? On the train. Although I did get a seat yesterday, which makes a bloody change. Evening, Gaunty, says James Avery. Evening. There's lots of talk about civil disobedience, is there, James, on YouTube? There's always lots of talk, but whether that'll turn into anything. And he'll just stamp on it straight away, like he did. You got to say, he stopped the riots pretty quickly. Yes, he lied. And I think he was part of the problem by leaving an information vacuum, by not telling us the truth, by not saying that, it's terror. But they do it all the time. They do it all the time. And now another young lad has been stabbed to death. When are these politicians going to do what we want them to do, what we elect them to do? I think you're right, James. It could kick off. I definitely don't want that to happen. But when I watched Prime Minister's questions today, I thought, Kemi, come on, you can do it today. Come on, score. She couldn't score in a bloody brothel. Let's be honest. She's useless. Absolutely useless. She had him banged to rights today. Just hit him, question after question after question after question, implying, that it was definitely not vocal training. It can't have been vocal training. He talks like a bloody robot. He's got no charisma, no personality, no nothing. Money wasted, probably our money as well. Was there a photographer there taking pictures? And there's more to come. This story is going to develop, I'm sure of it. Now we're hearing other members of the cabinet were at this event. Oh, it was a business event, because that's what Keir Starmer said today. He said, yeah, we were having meetings about the biggest political discussion about Brexit or whatever, whereas you lot were basically peeing it up the wall and you've left the red wine stains on the furniture. It was like your dad when you've had a party because they've gone away to Newquay or Weston-super-Mare for the weekend, and you have a big piss up, but all your mates come round, and then the big lads come, and there's a fight, yeah? And you haven't seen any of it because you're in bed with that bird that you've been trying to get off with for... Oh, that was just me. You know what I'm saying, don't you? It's like that Yellow Pages advert when he's looking for a French polisher because he'd scraped the table or one of his... That's what he's like. Starmer talks to you like that. And he also talks to you, I don't know whether you agree with me, he talks to you as if you're too thick to understand. I'm not too thick. I can understand fully what you're doing, Starmer. I know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to get elected. Well, you've got elected. Congratulations. Only because you were the least worst. But you've got elected. Massive landslide, 80 odd seats. Now you want to let young people vote. You want 16 years old to vote. Why? Well, that's obvious, isn't it? Because they'll vote Labour. You think we don't understand this? You're going to end up, I know it's going to end up, you're going to end up giving the vote to immigrants who haven't even got the right to stay here. That's what happened. It'd be like in the States. in California, where you don't have to prove who you are or where you live. That's not right. And it's not racist or wrong or classist to say to somebody, you've got to show a passport or a driving license with your name and a picture on if you want to vote. That's perfectly right. Why do you think Labour have allowed the extension of postal voting? They know what goes on. It went on in Coventry. It goes on. Like, why don't they clamp down on the rape gangs, the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs? What's their reaction to that? Labour. Let's have a look at this. What they should be doing is clamping down on that massively, right? And any councillor who says, "Oh, it doesn't happen in our area," it's racist, out. You're not fit for public office. What does Starmer do, along with Angela Rayner, right? He sets up a new commission, a council, to study Islamophobia. Because if you dare to think that kind of activity is wrong, right, then you must be an Islamophobe. I don't think we need to be even scared of people who are Islamophobic anyway. But I mean, I don't think you should be, by the way. You can hate the idea of what the religion. I mean, I hate the religion. I think it's ridiculous. I think all religions are ridiculous. But I wouldn't pick on somebody because they is a Muslim, right? But I really don't want to be rude. 97% of all terrorist activity at the moment is Muslim related. I'm sorry, it's a fact. But what do Labour want to do? They want to have a new definition of Islamophobia, which will probably say, effectively, no free speech. Dave Allen, good job you're dead, because you'd be effed. You ain't going to ever be on the telly making jokes. Harry Enfield, they want to cut down on free speech. It's all part of it. Can you not see how this all works? Kemi is a gift to reform. You're right, Laird. We have to be careful what we wish for, Gaunt. You asked earlier who would take over from him if he resigned. In my opinion, they'd go for Khan. Now, that would be the start of a slippery slope. Well, I don't think you're far wrong, Dunstan. I don't think you're far wrong. He's been knighted to sort of put him off for a bit. But yeah, I don't think you're far wrong. I mean, how much more do we have to take? Starmer is driving our country into the ground, says James Avery. Well, I'm finishing in a minute. If you want to get a quick comment in before I finish, you can. Feel free. But that's my view of the world today. It's a pretty depressing picture. I think he is a dictator. If you agree with me, please retweet or repost this video. Send people the link to the podcast. Get more people listening. Send them to my website, johngaunt.com. And on the way, ask them to buy me a coffee, www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. We've got to get the message out there. We've got to hold these people to account. Because who are they, after all? These are the kids who at school you'd have beaten up or you'd have had a nickname for. You'd have been horrible to them because they're idiots, right? But now they're in charge. And by God, do they like being in charge. And they're all the same. They are all self-serving pigs. I told you this story a million times. When I first went to London to go on BBC London, I interviewed Ken Livingstone and Stephen Shagger Norris. Do you remember him? He was the Tory. They went at each other for about half an hour, right? I was thinking, oh, this is great. This is real. At the end of it, I can't remember which one. Livingstone always said, oh, you going back to the house? And the other one said, yes. Do you fancy lunch? And they went off like the best of mates. It was all a pantomime. It was all a farce. And that's why I'm saying to you today, this is a farce. What's going on is a disgrace. He sits there and he stands there and he says, Boris, you're out of order, right? He tells us we can't go to the funerals of our friends and our relatives. He backs that up. Two-tier Keir with his two-tier legal system, yeah? That's what he does. Meanwhile, he's having voice lessons on Christmas Eve. Pull the other one, Starmer. It's got bells on it. There's more to this story, let me tell you. And I want next the confessions of the voice tutor. Do you? And don't send me emails saying Labour always like this or Conservatives this. They're all as bad as each other. Our only hope is probably Nigel Farage. Oh, the good news, get the bunting out. Kay Burley's retired. Right, so that's that. I'm back. I will do one for you tomorrow. But if you like the show, if you like what I'm saying, if you're listening on the audio or you're watching on a replay, you're all very welcome. Please just retweet it. Get the message out there. Gaunty is back. Until we speak again, if you've got kids, give them a hug. Give them a kiss. Don't forget to tell them you love them. Hold on a minute. He's pestering me now. Oi, get down. Kennel cough my ass. I'll see you tomorrow. All the best. Bye.